Welcome to the SVG-TV news for Monday, January 5th, 2020. I am Khalil Kato with the details. Teachers and students here have been encouraged to further raise the bar and advance this country's education system as they enter a new year and a new decade. The appeal comes from President of the SVG Teachers Union, Wendy Bino, as teachers and students return to their classrooms today following the Christmas break. Bino reminded teachers of their roles and responsibilities and encouraged them to advance their own careers as they educate the nation's children.
I want to encourage us to continue to maintain professionalism at all times. For this term, 2020, January 2020 term, let us bring on our A game. Let us use our strength to further advance the education system in our country, provide equitable opportunities for all learners, and continue to develop yourselves professionally. Take this time to reflect on and improve your practice. Do your best for the children entrusted to your care.
Bino further emphasized the need for teachers to look after their personal lives, especially their health.
I also want to implore our members, our teachers, to pay attention to their health and well-being, and not just the physical part, but also the psychological aspect as well. Reach out to the students who come to school for love, because we have quite a bit of those.
The SVG Teachers Union president asked that students be careful on the roadways and to take their education seriously.
For students, I want to encourage you to continue to set high standards for yourself. Endeavor to do your best in all of your academic pursuits and become actively involved in your own learning.
Reflecting on 2019, Bino said it was a productive and excellent year for the SVG-TU as they were able to achieve many of their goals. A 12-year-old Jasmine Wilson, a student of the girls' high school, died last week in Trinidad and Tobago at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. Her mother, Soflin Roberts, claims the hospital was at fault for her daughter's death. Her story was picked up by TV6 News in Trinidad. Now the country's health minister, Terence Dale Singh, wants an apology from the media house for what he says are inaccuracies carried in the story about the 12-year-old girl who was battling cancer. The health minister noted that Jasmine was diagnosed with latter-stage brain cancer and had undergone several surgical procedures prior to being admitted to the Eric Williams Pediatric Hospital. He said the story carried by TV6 News was biased and left out some crucial information.
Mother indicated that she was not ready to sign consent at that time. Urvashi never carried that. TV6 never carried that. Despite being counseled on the urgent nature of the case.
Said the approval for emergency surgery on the child was not granted until later that night.
How can you carry a story making all these wild claims against the public health sector and don't even get the side of Eric Williams? But the way that story was carried, it was never told that she had surgeries in St. Vincent, at St. Augustine Private Hospital, which were not successful. It was never said that the mother refused to sign the consent form.
Minister Dale Singh said the story carried in the media gave the impression that the issues developed as a result of actions at the pediatric hospital, and he wants an apology from the media house.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer at the North Central Regional Health Authority, Davlin Thomas, said medical staff at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex were disheartened that they could not save Jasmine, noting that despite their best efforts, the 12-year-old's condition continued to deteriorate. After she experienced seizures, a decreased respiratory rate, and other breathing issues which required intubation on Christmas Eve, Jasmine subsequently died. The government is in the process of drafting a sexual harassment bill which will offer more protection for women in the workplace. So says Minister of National Mobilization and Gender Affairs Frederick Stevenson as he addressed a Women's Empowerment Symposium held last Friday by the Public Service Union. The minister outlined how the sexual harassment legislation will protect women at work against what he deemed as silent abuse.
This legislation shall make protection of employees in both public and private sectors from sexual harassment in the workplace, and once passed, shall provide a framework for the reporting of sexual harassment cases by employees and a method of resolving such cases, establish a procedure for the hearing and determination of matters related to sexual harassment.
Minister Stevenson further outlined what can be deemed as sexual harassment at the workplace and what steps can be taken by an individual who has been harassed.
This act shall further define sexual harassment as the use of sexually suggestive words, comments, gestures, or actions that annoy, alarm, or abuse. 2. The initiation of uninvited physical contact and unwelcome sexual advances or requests for sexual favors. 3. Intrusive questions of a sexual nature. And 4. Making the transmitting sexual offenses in writing or material.
Under the proposed legislation, employers will be asked to do their part by ensuring the workplace is safe for all employees.
Every employer and head of ministries department should carefully reflect on their working environment and to see how conducive it is for reporting harassment and abuse, such as robust procedures and processes to deal with complaints and which their employees are comfortable with. As the minister responsible for women's affairs and gender equality, I wish to send a clear message on behalf of the government that it is the conduct and behavior of men that need to change if we are to end sexual harassment and abuse of women. Amen. Whether in the workplace, social life, or at home. This issue is not for women to fix. It is for the society, all of us, inclusive, to fix.
Late last year, government approved a comprehensive review of the sexual offences provision within the criminal code that discriminates against women, girls, and vulnerable groups. Several recommendations were made, which include having a sex offenders registry established. Meanwhile, the human rights activist and volunteer director of the Marion House, Jeannie Olivier, is critical of how the authorities deal with violence against women, including when it occurs at the workplace. Olivier, who interfaces with women and girls on a daily basis, said workplace violence is prevalent in SVG, but not much is said or done about it.
That we women, we Vincentian women, have to put up with on a regular basis. It can include touching, from touching to psychological abuse, such as fear, intimidation, to sexual assault and rape. Those two ugly, dirty words when it comes to women. But the most common for us are the unempathetic personnel at managerial and supervisory positions within our workplaces. The limited visibility and support of persons within the labor movement or the labor department reference workers' rights and responsibilities.
The human rights activist said that many women do not know that their rights are being violated, and violence shouldn't only be deemed as physical or sexual.
Women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the continued segregation of women in precarious, low-paid, low-status jobs and positions. The psychological, which includes the fear, the intimidation, the insults, the humiliation, the discrimination, the contradictory orders or isolation, as well as the harassment that we have to put up with day to day when it comes to our maternity, our medical conditions, our family, or other responsibilities. Their social issues are predominant in our Vincentian society and at our Vincentian workplaces.
Olivier again appealed to all women in SVG to first know their rights, then speak up and stand up against all forms of violence at the workplace and in the home and elsewhere.
Violence is a widespread and a major impediment to women's enjoyment of their fundamental rights and freedoms, and that is what we as women have to fight for in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The enjoyment of our fundamental rights and freedoms. The Public Service International also suggests that violence against women in the workplace are part of women's professional lives, while the worldwide Me Too movement has also revealed that sexual harassment and assault are part of most women's professional lives, and that we must not accept the Hollywood focus, which makes us look like violence itself and have violence perpetrated against us in the world of work.
Minister of Agriculture Soboto Caesar says he is looking forward to great results in the sector this year. His comments come as today the country exported its first shipment of agricultural produce for the year to several markets in the region. Speaking from the Geest Shed, where the produce was being packaged for export, Minister Caesar said 2019 was a positive year for the agriculture sector and thanked the nation's farmers for their hard work.
To congratulate the farmers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and all the stakeholders in the agriculture sector. This is 2020, and we look forward to great results in 2020 in the entire sector. In 2019, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we continued as the breadbasket of the Southern Caribbean. Today we are witnessing the first shipment out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, mainly to Trinidad and Tobago and to Barbados. I was advised that there is a significant increase in the export of turmeric to Barbados. And I know that a lot of farmers invested in planting production in 2019. Therefore, in 2020, we are expecting a significant increase in the export of plantains.
Minister Caesar used the opportunity to again appeal for support for locally produced products.
I want to use this opportunity to encourage all Vincentians to participate in the national Buy Local campaign. Yes, we are increasing our exports of raw material to neighboring islands, but we also want to reduce the imports of a lot of these processed foods that we are bringing into the country, and we have to substitute it with a lot of the produce that we have available in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I want to particularly encourage our young farmers for the excellent work that they are doing, the extension in the Ministry of Agriculture, and let us remember that we have a nation to build and that agriculture will continue to play in 2020 a very important role in this entire process.
Present at the Geest Shed today was staff of the Plant Protection and Quarantine Unit. Supervisor at the unit, Cassiel Walsh De Young, said they are responsible for ensuring that crop and agricultural products entering and leaving the country are of a high standard, thus protecting the local industry and regional market space.
We are happy to work alongside the farmer, and we are doing our best to ensure that whatsoever produce is leaving and coming into SVG, the plant quarantine staff, we are doing our best to ensure that the phytosanitary standard is of maximum. This year, 2020, would be a very significant year for plant quarantine and phytosanitary standards, as it is being dubbed as the year of plant quarantine and plant health throughout the world. And therefore we would be putting some extra effort, planning some activity around this theme so that persons can become much aware of how significant plant quarantine is to the agriculture industry.
The Trinity Apostolic Church handed over a donation of school supplies to the children of Lower Kittel's community last Saturday. Head leader of the church, Bishop Vincent Sobers, said they are happy to provide assistance to the children and others in need.
It was just about a week ago. Just a little after Christmas, we have distributed some goodies, food stuff, and so forth to the elderly persons and persons from our church and otherwise benefited tremendously. So it is your time now as children to benefit from what we have to offer. I remember last year we also distributed school supplies to our children. We did not have as many as we have today, but we thank God because those who received, they were tremendously blessed. And so we thought that we need to just go a bit bigger. So we need to take it, one step further.
Bishop Sobers said the donation of the school supplies was made possible from the work of 2 other colleagues in New York.
We are eternally grateful to our Bishop Cornelius Olive and his team, the Trinity Apostolic Church in Brooklyn, New York, for their kind generosity, for supplying us with most of the stuff that will be distributed today. All of the book bags, and let me say these are not ordinary book bags, but they are good book bags. They seems to be from the brand name that they are durable, they has durability, and so we want to say special thanks to Bishop Olive. And let me just say that over the past couple of years, both of us, had discussion, and we are discussing how we can be of more help to our community and to our society. So we have decided then that every year that we will try to do whatever we can to ensure that we bless the people of this community.